Greetings, everyone. I'm Sophis, and today I'm joined by my friend Bootman, and we're going to go over both the rework and all the changes that have been going on about the heroes and leaders in Age of Wonders 4. And we're also going to speculate a little bit on Giant Kings, which is still a ways off, but it poses an interesting question over the fact that it's yet another leader type. And as you'll see later, we have a lot that the leaders already fulfill that you kind of have to wonder what's the gap that Giant Kings will fill. So, yeah, Bootman, you want to introduce yourself, talk a little bit?
Hey there. Yep, I'm Bootman. I do reviews of whatever I want. They tend to be relatively positive reviews. That's probably my average thing. And in my spare time, especially lately, I basically just play Age of Wonders 4. So I'm pretty into it right now, and so I'm happy to discuss it and share ideas.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that's a good intro. And I guess we'll jump right into it. If everyone's been, following things recently, far as Age of Wonders 4 go, Ways of War changed a lot how heroes and lords operate. I think it was the most radical change they did since release, right?
I so there were some early changes. Wait, in terms of heroes specifically.
Yeah, but I think the whole renown system and how,
It probably is the single biggest, like, universal gameplay change they've done since the game has started.
oh,
Um,
absolutely.
Other things can compete, like, maybe, like, the Mystic subculture update, you could consider that pretty massive,
Yeah,
or the changes to Magic Victory. Those 2 were both, pretty severe. But the hero update, I'd say, has it's had the most impact on anything that I do, and it's definitely a extensive update.
right. Yeah, I think so as well. I think one of the biggest changes that impacted us both is the change they did to affinities because we used to have that for our builds, and there's some builds on this channel that depended on playing with affinities, and now that's gone.
Yeah, I've got 2 bills that are just dead now, because
Yeah,
they got rid of the meeting, which was the right move, to be clear. They 100% should have changed how the affinities worked. The way it worked made I don't know. I found that I really appreciate my builds a lot more now. Um, it's
yeah,
definitely a positive change, but it did kill several of my builds.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was very easy to do the kind of coin in the vending machine, but you have a string, kind of trick because
Yeah,
you built
exactly.
all the affinities one way, then oh, let me swap everything out. Okay, now I have a whole different tome affinity. Now I can do this build. Yeah.
Yeah, that is exactly it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of more split about it than you. Oh, and I one point I remembered that I think is good to go over for the viewers. Uh, Regarding this talk in general, I think a good thing is that me and Bootman are sort of different kind of players. I'm more of a casual, things for me are more fun and thematic, and I don't get as bothered when one of the builds uses more tomes for one tier than they should. And but he's more competitive in the sense that he plays hardcore stuff. He's always sending me some screenshots of some very tough battles that he had to win just to survive another turn. So yeah, I think we have two different profiles as Age of Wonders players, and I think that complements things well for overall commentary on the whole situation.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
It's fun to have different points of view. And I definitely I don't match up completely with like the super competitive like meta people. Um, but yeah, you're 100%
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying you're like PvP sort of guy
right.
because even other games like Total War has have people like Legend of Total War, and he's like the best at single player stuff, and he doesn't touch PvP anymore. He's just about let me be the best at single player, and he does, miracles at the highest difficulty, and it's crazy. But yeah, I think you're more like his profile than, a competitive, I'm going for a tournament or head to head sort of player. But you
Yeah.
definitely crank up the heat. Yeah. But yeah, you want to talk a little bit about the recent changes, or should I start?
I mean, I could do it. I mean, I cover a lot of the old changes in my video. And then I talk about how much they've changed heroes. Like the big thing that heroes have had to endure since the very start is balancing hero doom stacks. That's one aspect of it. And the other aspect was balancing how many heroes you could recruit. In the old days, it was not great the way hero recruitment worked. It was tied to your cities, and then you could push it through your hero cap. You took a penalty. There was a lot of messy aspects to it that weren't generally good. And after they sorted all those out, and you could recruit heroes pretty stably, and it all made sense, and it was working very well. They decided they were going to tackle making heroes themselves better.
Yeah.
This had so the main way this changed things was it made hero classes more important, like the just whatever what kind of hero they were. There was the renown system, and then they added a skill tree instead of the sort of, I guess, pyramid system it had before. Um yeah, the skill tree definitely, I think it's worked out very well. And the skill tree itself has let them hide some options from certain hero classes, right? So before, if you invested all the way down in like the melee tree, you could still invest all the way down in the magic tree as well, pretty easily, because they were both, all heroes had access to both of them. And that's cool in its own way. But by separating them, it lets each hero class have its own unique things and lets them lean deeper into powerful abilities each class can have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think going over those changes a little bit on my own end. Yeah, I think they struggled for a long time. I think they tried nerfing because they had the heroes tied to the city. Then they released all the restrictions. Then now they have this soft cap based on turns, which I think is the best of both worlds. Really, it stops things from ramping up too fast. But I think the best thing they did for the people that really love heroes is the new cult of personality society trait. So yeah, I think it works well. I haven't done a full build on it yet, but on principle, it's just a nice thing you can just tack on and build as you want. Another thing I really appreciate is the re-rolling thing that they have for when your whole selection isn't classes you want, but now it's a little bit of RNG, which I wish you could respect a hero to another class once at least.
Um, so my thought on that, I kind of agree, except okay. I think that the way it is now, the way heroes function, it's led to a surprising bonus. And the bonus is that city states are now even more important. This has been another thing they have steadily changed throughout the history of the game, making city states stronger, tougher, more useful. And now they've reached the peak of what they've been useful at so far, which is the heroes. Every city state that you're allied with, or at least have like a good relationship with, adds two more heroes to your pool for your selection. So if you're playing, Giga Racists, and you only have your one race, and you conquer every other city state, and you don't have any sort of allies like that at all, you get to pick like basically two heroes each time you load up. And if you're playing a very diplomatic build, you could have, 10, 12, 14, 16,
Y-
and then re-roll that for another 16.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed that on my whole the latest build that I made, the vassals. That
Nice.
I had a very big pool of heroes, and I mean, I think you can still get just from your own race if you want. You just have to establish your own city states. Found your own, and then release them as vassals, and then you get a bigger pool anyway. So I think it's still
You
viable.
could do that, but depending on the build, that isn't super viable. Um, for instance, that doesn't work at all for Strife, which takes penalties whenever you ally with anybody, even city states.
Right, right, absolutely, and reavers obviously, but I mean, it's still an option if you want it.
I've been playing a lot of Strife, by the way. Strife is too good.
Yeah, I know. For your more aggressive playstyle, I know. I'm more of a fan of harmony. Obviously, you know me. I like the hunting infestations and the whole defensive thing they have going on. It's a very nice new
Harmony
culture.
is really good, especially if you take the Swiftfoot wrapper mounts. Like you, it's hard to beat.
Oh, right, right. The whole hit and run almost, or rather,
Yeah,
run and
exactly.
hit. Yeah, but yeah, I think yeah, I kind of agree. You make a good point far as the whole hero thing, and I mean, the reroll isn't the worst thing in the world. It's just that sometimes you need a hero here and now because the
Yeah,
necessity calls, and you don't have exactly the class you want. But I think it's still pretty good.
I'd kind of like
Uh,
the reroll to be cheaper, I guess, if I was to pick one thing. Um,
I guess so. I
it-
guess so because if you're now incurring the cost of re-rolling them, you could make them a little bit cheaper to hire, maybe.
yeah, or you could have rerolling have the option of paying mana as well as gold.
Or Imperium,
Like,
since this stuff they use Imperium for this kind of stuff. I think that's also fair.
yeah, I'm not against any of that. But I think that what I'm complaining about with this is that it forces a hard decision of an important resource, which I think is the point. So it
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
where it should be. Uh, that and it's just me complaining.
And besides, thinking about it, also, it's also very nice. I think one thing I really appreciate about New Hero system is hiring from the Pantheon. That I won't complain at all. Price wise, it's very fair because you can have some really busted rulers just waiting there to be hired. So paying all that Imperium for someone that has, like nine enchantment transformation things, and
Yeah,
it just wrecks shop.
you could grab a Death Knight Shadow Dragon and destroy the world.
You're really excited about that one. I haven't tried that night yet. Do
It
you want
was
to tell the
spicy.
viewers a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure, may as well. I mean, it's one of so they've added, but they
Let me
changed
even.
existing.
I'm gonna put it here.
Sure, yeah, go
Dragon
for it.
Ruler and Death Knight. Yeah.
Yeah, so Death Knight. Okay, so basically, what Death Knight is it's a mix, and I'm gonna say this fairly roughly because there's elements of several classes in here. But it's sort of a mix between warrior and ritualist.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
the
I'm noticing here, Curse and Raise Undead, but there's also a bunch from Warrior here. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I just got done playing a game with a Dragon Lord Death Knight, and it was really astounding. So, first things first is summoning. If you go to the third ability down that chain there, the little tombstone thing,
Infested Summons.
yep. Units summoned by this hero have Aura of Disease and Immunity to Disease. That's really spicy. So basically, diseased, if you don't know, is a resist. It lowers resistance by 4.
Oh, that's
It's a,
spicy.
and it spreads to adjacent units.
Oh, I'm seeing the combo now.
Yeah. So the big thing here is that Dragon Lords get a bunch of very cool, unique abilities. The Shadow Dragon Lord, I don't know, I'm not sure at what tier it unlocks. I think it might be tier 2. Check the level 8 Shadow Dragon, see if there's anything there for that.
Uh, it's just 1 second. Yeah, here. Shadow Dragon, Shadow Transformation, Slain
Yep,
Units.
there it is.
Oh, Jesus, I see the combo. Yeah.
Slaying unit transformed into decaying zombies.
So basically, you get this and this and this, and then you have the zombies. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then of course, you invest in your breath, whichever one you
Well,
prefer.
we'll see. That's the second thing. So Dragon Lords have so Eldritch Sovereigns have a preponderance of 3 action cost abilities. That's like their main thing.
Right.
They've got a lot of 3 action cost abilities. And also they're stuck with either Mage or Ritualist. Dragons have very, very powerful 1 action cost abilities. The tail swipe, 2 of the breaths.
Yeah. The tail swipe is
Um,
one of my favorites. It's
tail swipe
pretty
is
good.
incredible.
Yeah.
Even the roar. The roar is a 1 cost ability.
Yeah.
And then if you look in the middle there at the little slash thing on Death Knight, that's also a 1 cost ability.
Right.
Okay.
Sundering Sweep.
Now, why is all this important? Well, if you go down to the very bottom capstone ability,
Killing momentum. Oh, yeah. And then you kill something, and then you can use all of these powerful abilities.
yeah. So what I did is I had the War Claws, which is another new upgrade for Dragon Lords, where you can turn them into either defendy, shock, or just regular fighter units.
Yeah.
I had War Claw, which is the shock version. I would charge in, and then I would either open with one of the AoE attacks or the claw, and then that would restock me for my next move, which would be one or the other. You can you can legitimately go in if you want to. You can go in, use tail swipe, and then fire breath in the same turn on the same attack.
Well, I mean, if you choose the cone or the line, but not the comments.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I think cone would be better for this sort of thing since
Cone is
everything has.
way better for this one.
Yeah,
Cone is great. Line is reasonable too because it can let you pick off a weak target to restock your action with.
yeah, but
Um,
line is
I prefer
way
cone.
more niche. I think line is way more
A
niche.
line is definitely more niche. The hexagonal nature has made lines sort of difficult to work with.
Yeah.
The other side of this is if you look at terrifying gorging,
Uh.
which is the bite,
Oh,
the
right,
bite
right,
move.
right, right, right,
Yeah.
right.
It's 3 cost for an instant hit for a pretty high odds instant kill.
Yeah,
Um, and if you kill somebody with that, that restocks your action too. So you could auto kill a thing at full health and then fire breath or tail swipe or cleave or shock attack.
yeah. I'm seeing why this is a killing machine, basically.
Yeah, it was astounding how functional it
Also,
was.
I'm not sure you noticed this option. You probably did. I'm not seeing it here. Maybe it was on two as well. No, it. Here it is.
Here,
Did you?
I remember the primals.
Yeah, Primal Dragon. Because Primal Dragon, this used to be nature, and it was insane for like solo dragon compositions because the natural regeneration let you. What would happen basically? You would.
Natural generation is 10% of your maximum health.
Yeah, but I mean, the one thing that this allowed is a strategy that let you make your Dragon Lord to like tier 20 very quick. Because what you would do is you ditch your whole army and you go in just with the dragon. And then you would level up really, really, really fast. And this would be great for strategies like Tome of the Demon Lord, because then you
Oh
have
yeah,
a very powerful unit already primed to be summoned, and it both regenerates and is already at a very high level compared to whenever you would have this. So it
yeah,
was
fair.
crazy. Let me just see if you can get Primal Dragon again. I don't think you can. No. Unfortunately, it's either Shadow Transformation or the regeneration, but I think Shadow Transformation is so much more synergistic that you would, find a way to heal otherwise. It, I know combat spells or something. Yeah.
But even without dragons, I'm a pretty big fan of Death Knight as it exists currently.
Oh yeah,
It's
this is pretty much a very World of Warcraft. Death Knight overall. Of the few things that World of Warcraft created, Death Knight is definitely one that went beyond their own creation, because this whole infested summons, I'll tell you, this reminds me of the Lich King raid way back in Wrath, where he
Well, and
would,
this is even getting into a lot of the really cool stuff. Like if you go two below, go two below.
yeah,
That one.
melee mage.
Yep.
Yeah, this is
And
busted.
all that stuff on the ritual side is also really cool too. It's like adding like weakening and diseased and decay to your attacks and spells and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I mean, this is pretty evil. I have to try. I mean, to the viewers, my excuse for not having tried any of this yet is that Omens of Destruction came out like yesterday. So I've been busy with Warhammer, but as soon as I get
That's
back into Age of Wonders, I am definitely going to play with the fact that dragons are no longer locked into a class, because
well,
this
if you don't
is
mind,
absurd. Yeah,
may as well do Spellblade next. You haven't played with that yet either. I'm
yeah,
guessing.
yeah. I haven't.
Yeah. So these two are the newest classes they added in after they did the basic class update, and they're very cool. I like both of them quite a bit. Spellblade is more of a skirmisher mage combo, which is very cool. I was very fond of playing it with a Cestus character.
So a
So either a
champion with, yeah.
champion or wizard will work fine either way. I think I have one of each actually. I have a champion Cestus Spellblade and a wizard Cestus Spellblade.
Why Cestus
Um,
specifically?
Cestus because it comes with a free action 3 space leap. And that seemed insanely spicy, not only on a skirmisher type character, but on a mage, where I can control my range of engagement really well. If I was locked into melee, I could jump out and then cast one of my big spells. Thankfully, this has a melee mage ability in this tree somewhere. I'm not sure. I forget where exactly.
Right here, right here. I recognize the
Okay.
symbol. So yeah,
Yeah.
at the bottom
And
of
then
the left wing
what
of
I also
this.
what I also found is go one below that.
Arc fire burst. Oh yeah, you jump into action with the cestus, and then you just drop this like a nuke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. And you enter defense
So
mode, which is, you know,
don't knock it.
yeah. I mean, this would be better with, wizard can also have it. Super growth, for more retaliation.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah. Wow, Spellblade and Death Knight are really good classes. Now that's another thing on my wish list, next DLC cycle, more classes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for more combo classes. I mean, you could even do like a mage ritualist combo if you wanted to.
I mean,
I
personally, I would be really happy with a Ranger hybrid, because Rangers are my favorite
Oh.
class.
Ooh, well, we can move on and talk about that in a second. I would say
Yeah.
just one more thing. You can be a dragon spellblade, which is cool as hell.
Yeah, that's fair. You have the claw and you have all the mobility of a dragon, and you can both, might and magic pretty much, which is very dragony, to be fair.
I mean, so here's the thing. I in my video I complained about the position dragons were in. The hero update has essentially obliterated all those concerns because all the dragon affinity skills they all give insane bonuses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of crazy how good it all is.
The astral one gives your dragon a like ranged attack,
Uh,
like just like
wait,
a 3 shot range attack.
which one are we talking here?
That one right there,
Uh,
the second one, cosmic
Cosmic
bolts.
bolts, right? Bolts ring. No,
You
no,
don't even need
it's
to engage in
yeah,
there. You just get it.
yeah. I mean, and ethereal unit type is. I mean, it doesn't matter so much when you fly, but it's still kind of good.
Yeah, I mean, so the cosmic bolts is crazy. And I guess if you had a melee mage plus that, you could cosmic bolt anything from any range.
Yeah,
No matter if you're in combat or not. It's really neat.
yeah. I mean, dragons really feel like the big tanky thing now. They felt like they fell behind for a while, but this rework really gave them the whole feel of being powerful. Although I'm very partial to champion, because I really like their whole skill of command. I'm
Command is so good.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, I used to play XCOM a lot, and usually in XCOM, having this sort of ability, and also Rogue Trader for those who play it, you having a commander that basically doesn't do a lot on their own, but they give you more action. It's just insane. But I think
I
they
guess
nerfed it
one
recently. I think the latest patch kind of killed it because there used to be, I think Ranger had it. Ranger used to have one that, oh, here, kill shot. It had killing an enemy resets all ability cooldowns. So you know what I'm saying. I
yeah, that's
used to have
great.
you kill someone and then suddenly you can use the size of command again. It was very good. That's why Ranger
Yeah.
was one of my favorites. And I guess since we're here, I might as well talk Ranger, right?
Go ahead and tell me why Ranger is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, one reason I loved it is not only kill shot as I've just gone over, but I like all these options here because they allow for very different profiles of ranged characters. I mean, in the overall, I like using the other units to either, because you can have the ranger be the one that kills single units, and then you have your troops sweep what's not a single unit, or you can have them be support. In particular, I love snapshot because if you have a commander type and you have to move them, snapshot is just a free action. You just shoot, and if your weapon, has effects that trigger on this one shot, you can really mess up someone for free. That's pretty damn good. You can move all the way. You can do anything with your turn, but you still have it. That's one reason I love Snapshot in particular over the others, but the others I also like a lot. But Snapshot really goes the distance, and for something so small, you can inflict so much damage with it. Because then imagine your turn starts. You use the size of command with the free action. You give someone an action. You then snapshot someone and then you move. You do a lot with your turn. There's a lot of action economy and alpha striking potential with this. It's kind of insane what this does. I know it's not the strongest thing, but tactically speaking you have a lot of options.
No, I'm on
And
your side. It's great.
yeah, and the rest here is just solid buffs, nothing too crazy. I think this allows a lot of critical sniper stuff here. Nothing wrong here, but I prefer the left side of the tree because the shots really define a lot. Because then you can go
I've probably
snapshot.
had
Yeah,
I've probably had 4 or 5 Ranger heroes since the update, at least. I've never been on the right side of the tree. I've always been on the left side of the
yeah.
tree.
Because look at this snapshot, disruptive shot. Now you can for free break a defense mode and remove all retaliation attack. Then you go for this is kind of a mighty meek but physical, and then kill shot, and there you go. Now you could actually use this if your units weaken someone. Let's say you just use the size of command. You use the size of command, your troops weaken an enemy, then you use snapshot to trigger kill shot. Then you use the size of command again. I
Yeah.
haven't done that in theory yet. I mean, in practice yet, but in theory, uh, that's pretty good, if they haven't nerfed this at all. So I'm more of a fan of the tactics. I know this doesn't have a lot of raw power in and of itself, but it capitalizes on what your units can do. But that's for the support kind of thing. I think if you have a sniper, this true shot is. I like true shot a little better than scatter shot. You can ignore enemy defense, then you get this.
I've liked Scattershot more personally. If I don't get Snapshot, I get Scattershot.
I mean, that's
Uh,
fair. It's a single action versus a full action. But if you're the sniper type, there's a lot of here. I think, yeah, which I think it's right here. No, wait. Big game hunter, then you get kill shot. Yeah, sniper's focus. This whole tree here, just make sure that this is the hero that will finish the fight pretty much. So you get, I mean, accuracy you don't need. Yeah, this one. Not engaged in melee plus critical hit chance. Yeah, see, this is pretty much the sniper route. And then after you get this, you keep going down just to get more damage. I think this is kind of, but I prefer the tactical sniper. You know, it's snapshot, but the actual sniper, this is kind of the path. Especially if you have a culture that can forge a weapon. You have a lot of forge bonuses and all that. Then you can
Yeah.
make like the mage lock, and you just wreck shop with it, because true shot with a mage lock is kind of crazy. With the new reaver
Have you done that
builds, yeah, you know, single shots that get the chance to hit once do a lot of damage.
yet? No,
Yeah,
that's completely fair. I think that but I would say that before Spellblade and Death Knight came out, Ranger probably was my favorite of the base classes.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, I have a lot of love for it because in general, I like ranged classes, but yeah, I mean, looking at Death Knight and Spellblade, I think that's going to be tough competition for the Ranger. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Ranger, or do we move on to another
Oh, I
class?
thought you did an excellent job. So,
Thanks.
if you don't mind, I'd like to try Defender next, just because I have something in my head for that one already.
Sure thing.
So I like Defender because if you go back to before this hero update, I had a faction all about making the strongest heroes possible.
Yeah,
And in order to do that, I had to do what was essentially Defender for back then, which was playing Industrious. a
yeah,
lot,
that's
a lot of the Industrious hero abilities were moved to Defender.
yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, a lot of tomes got stripped down of their unique abilities just to go into this rework, which isn't so
That is
bad.
probably something we should. That probably is something we should have talked about. Uh,
Yeah, we
the
can go over, you know, after we go over the classes as an
That's
oh
fair.
yeah.
So if you look at the right side of the tree, you get a lot of stuff based around being in defense mode.
Yeah, I'm seeing here. Yeah, this one is more for others, and this is for you, pretty much. I
More
mean,
towards the bottom though, there's even more stuff. Like after the
stunning
yeah, keep going.
bash.
That one's good too.
Yeah, when entering damage deflection, or yeah, dispel one negative status effect. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yep.
And
Keep going.
weakening strikes, and then while in defense mode, charge resistance and defensive. Always enter. Oh, this is dirty. Yeah.
So here's the thing. That one is the best. That is the better of the two. However, with what I have in mind, I definitely want the other one.
Yeah.
And for what I have in mind, you've got to switch over to Wizard King.
Okay. Wizard King. All good.
Okay. Now look at the channeling ritual.
Channeling ritual right here.
Yep.
Right. This defensive ritual.
Yep.
Okay.
Enter defense mode.
Heal yourself. Enter
So
defense mode. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, that's the idea. Is you heal yourself and enter a defense mode to use an extra spell that turn, and at the same time get all of those defensive buffs from the right side.
Yeah, I can see that. Defense mode. Defense mode. Yeah, you're pretty much set. It's like a mage barrier or something.
Yeah, exactly. And on the left side, there's some cooler abilities. That's usually where I spend most of my time, especially the bottom.
Yeah, let's see. Tireless Retaliator.
That means you have infinite retaliation attacks.
That's so powerful. I mean, I haven't played a lot of defenders. I usually leave the sort of frontline stuff to the troops, but that's crazy.
Defender Wizard King is really strong. I have one currently, and I really enjoyed playing it. But I kind of made it irrelevant because for the Pantheon skill, I gave him Sorcerer.
Right.
So it doesn't stack anymore.
Huh, that's a shame. Yeah, I think, yeah, this is pretty concise. I mean, with anything melee, this would be pretty powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
So,
got some support abilities in the middle there, which are pretty neat.
yeah,
So
I mean, when I go defender, I usually like getting taunt and going down the middle because I'm trying to distract someone else, the attention from other troops.
I'm usually doing left or right. Those are my two areas where I spend most of my time with
Yeah,
defender.
that's pretty fair. I mean, uh, this one is more for a, sort of tank distraction, but you've shown me there's a lot more potential on the sides for this. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Do you
It's
want
probably good
to?
chance to mention the very slight, well, not slight, the nerf that Wizard Kings have gotten, where instead of just flat getting double the casting points, now you spend a hero points and you get up to 30 more casting points. This is a good change. It makes Wizard Kings no longer the must pick for spell based builds.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's a boost, but not the must-have. I mean, they still have their niche, but it's no longer like the meta.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you want to go over something else on Defender, or do you think you're
No, defenders. That's it for me on defender.
okay? So, I'm gonna talk about my other favorite pre this, the Ritualist, because to me,
Nice.
the Ritualist. I know you like this side of the tree, the right, but I'm a huge fan of these two. These two, and oh, and Astral Ward actually. I'm gonna tell you, these are insane. In the latest build that I've made, that was a dark build that has no support skills whatsoever. I mean, no support units. This
Yeah.
did a lot of damage, especially if you have a Dragon Ruler and you have a Ritualist with the Dragon Ruler. Astral Ward is insane because you summon this thing and it takes damage for you. So you can pretty much just have this punching bag all the way in the back being defended or away from the battle. And your Dragon Lord gets an extra health bar. That's pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
You haven't tried it yet?
No, I haven't.
This
I've done almost no ritualists, I would say.
this is because this is like a bind skill. Think of like the crystals from Planetfall. But instead of half damage, is full damage. It takes all the damage. So this is an extra health bar for anything you want. This is
Yeah,
pretty
that's
damn good.
totally fair.
And I like Wild Growth. This is like my third favorite. This one is my favorite. This is my second favorite, and this is my third favorite because Wild Growth you can sort of turn it into an area heal, but one that you can turn it into a hostile wild growth thingy that kind of spreads and damages everyone. But I like going the support path because everyone in the area of effect gets regen and heal. Then they get bolstered defense, and then you turn it into a swift action. So it's
Yeah.
pretty good as a side heal, and then you have this as a main heal. The whole point of this is to go down this side for resurrection. This now you can use it as a revive, then you have an area heal, then you have an extra health bar for someone. So this makes your whole army a lot more resistant. And you know, this is also good, steadfast, because then you can just pop this on a low health unit that you think you're gonna lose to, DOTs or anything else, and it just doesn't die. Then you just have to finish the fight before they die, and you keep them, even if at like zero health. So Ritualist is an insanely good support class. I love it. And down here you got this, which is a
Just casually. Yeah.
yeah, just casually a huge heal for everyone. But this on its own, it's kind of crazy. Usually for me, I start with restore, I go all the way to revival, and then I get the as reward because this makes sure you don't lose a valuable unit. This ensures your leader or whatever is your front line survives. So yeah, Ritualist is crazy good. I haven't tried to, think of a leader build for this because I think this is good for a side hero, for a strong leader. But as a leader, before this, the one I was considering is Dragon Lord, but nature one, because before the update, the only ritualist dragon was a nature dragon, and I was considering this because they boost the undead, so making an undead kind of thing, and then warding himself, and also being able to revive things. But now that there's so much better classes for dragon, I mean, I don't know why you would ever go for something other than Defender, Death Knight, or Spellblade for a dragon. Honestly,
Well, I mean, Warrior is the only other one that gets killing momentum. So there's an argument
yeah,
for Warrior at the very least.
yeah, but
No,
but
I feel you.
but yeah,
Um,
that's Ritualist. Any
yeah.
thoughts?
Actually, I'm well right now. I'm doing a brief scan through. No, I'm not seeing anything. Damn, that's too bad.
Yeah,
Oh no, that's still really good.
yeah. I mean, and there's also like,
Oh, here it is. Elder of Nature. That's probably what I was looking for here. Sorry, I
oh,
found it at the end.
what does it do?
Elder of Nature for Dragon. Using non-attack abilities heals all other friendly units for 10 temporary hit points.
Here we are. There we go. Elder of Nature. Yeah, that's pretty good. You know.
That seems like a natural fit for Ritualist.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And another thing here for Ritualist is summon wise, you get the free summons. They're not that super great, but it's still pretty decent. An extra health bar is an extra health bar. So,
I
uh,
mean, I'm not gonna have you insult them because one of the hardest fights I've ever the part of the fight I had to replay the most
yeah,
my entire career was against an Eldritch Sovereign Ritualist like 2 days ago, and it was just him. There was no other units on the fields except for my own units,
yeah,
and I was outnumbered.
wow,
Like
yeah,
it was impossible to deal with.
yeah,
It was an early game fight. We're talking like turn 20, 30. So it was
yeah. I can
horrifying.
imagine how that would get out of control very fast. But yeah, I mean, the point is, it's not a once per battle thing. I think that's
Yeah,
what counterbalances the fact that they're not super powerful. The fact you can spam them. But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, you get fortified summons, then you can link with magic origins, and then just. I mean, one thing you could do if you wanted to go like full Cthulhu Mythos thing is have two ritualist heroes or more with Astral Bond, or actually just one. I don't think you could do two, but bond with your own Eldritch Sovereign since it's a magic origin unit, and then it
yep.
gets a retaliation attack, accuracy, and frenzy, which
That is
is
something that probably is worth mentioning. So I don't. It's a kind of like a stealth thing that I don't think many people are aware of.
yeah,
Dragons count as dragons for all dragon things. Eldritch Sovereigns count as magic origin for all magic origin things. And it is
yeah,
insane to put cosmic overdrive on your Eldritch Sovereign. It's ridiculous.
absolutely. I mean, it's kind of the upside of them not benefiting from anything like enchantments and being form units.
Yes.
So as a counter, they do have their own thing, which is more niche, but the niche things you can do are pretty busted.
Yes.
So yeah, but yeah, I think
Big fan.
that's Ritualist. Do you want to do Warrior or Mage? That's the ones we
Um,
have left.
to be fair, I don't have too much to say about either one, but we can give it a shot. Give me Warrior, I guess.
Sure thing.
So the advantage of Warrior compared to other skill trees, and you can see it here, is how interconnected it is. You're not going to be SOL on this tree.
Yeah,
There's a lot of viability here. It's got the best things that Death Knight has in terms of it has the tree that ends in killing momentum,
yeah,
uh, which is that's and also the thing right above it to the left.
Will Breaker,
Yeah.
Vicious Killer, and
Will
Will Breaker. Yeah.
Breaker is insanely good.
What does it do?
So believe it in a 2 hex radius, it applies weaken and demoralizes whenever your hero gets a kill.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's very good. It's
Yeah.
exceptionally good. And then just in general, if you want to, stay in a fight and deal a lot of damage, I mean, this tree's got you covered. It's also very front loaded with the abilities. So you got, the second wind, you've got the cleave.
Frenzy, yeah. Prepared charge. Yeah, it has a lot going on for it.
It does exactly what you think it should do and basically nothing else.
Yeah, I
I'd
mean,
say,
it's the fighter basically.
yeah, I'd say the big thing it gives is resurgence. Only Death Knight gives resurgence aside from this. To the left a little bit. Just the nope. All the way to the right.
Here. Right.
Up.
Brutal Parry, Undying Warrior. Here we go.
I'm sorry, Undying Warrior, not even resurgence. It's Undying Warrior. Sorry.
Yeah, but no, but the effect is resurgence. Yeah.
That is, yep.
Yeah, this is pretty damn good, and it's
it has no applicability on normal difficulty because all heroes automatically have resurgence on normal difficulty. But if you're playing on hard or multiplayer, that's insanely good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, pretty solid. So nothing else to say.
It's good. There's nothing wrong with it.
I haven't played much Warrior. I've favored Ranger and Ritualist, as I've said.
I've played a ton of Warrior because I just happen to get a lot of Warriors, and they're fine. They're good. Like they're not exciting, but they get the job done every time.
Yeah, that's fair. So let's move on to Mage, and I guess I'll talk about it. I mean, this also doesn't have. It's kind of fighter, but for magic in the sense of it has what you want here. Personally, I'm more of a fan of the right side here with Curse because Curse has it's the other part of Death Knight. It has all the bad, nasty things you can do with this. You can just cast a curse and then chain a lot of bad effects onto enemies. And the best thing it does is frost, so inflicting frozen.
Ooh.
But the problem is that the exclusive thing is mass curse. So you either make it a single target, everything bad is going to happen to you, or you make it and then you freeze, of course, which is pretty good. It's pretty much a stun. And or you go for mass curse, which I think both are pretty good, and it's a very good reason they're exclusive, because if you could freeze enemies in an area, this would be a must pick class. But it's
so I'll go the other way. I like the left side of this a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of damage.
Well, it's not just damage; it's the debuff options, and then the choice of how you want to do your AOE. This is one of many aspects of Age of Wonders 4 that forces you to really consider positioning, because if you aren't positioned well, then your enemy can just sweeping fire through your entire army and deal a million conditions to you. You'll be blinded and burning and electrified and decayed.
Oh yeah,
and whatever else.
Absolutely. I mean, if I'm not wrong, cascading evocation can destroy a construct build. Because
it's not. I mean, it's going to help. Yeah, if you talk about construct and your enemy rolls out with that, yeah, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty crazy on its own. But yeah,
it's great, especially if you can force your enemies to gather up. I mean, even against AI, I'm pretty consistently able to burn down between 4 and 7 enemies every time with this.
Yeah. And if I'm not wrong, Tome of Winds can help you greatly with that. The combat spells, and I think even the elemental. I think the elemental has a kind of a pull power, if I'm not wrong.
I don't think it's the elemental. I think it's just there is that in the tome.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, constrictors can also do that if you want.
Yeah, it's Oh, that's a good point. Constrictor, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Honestly, Tome of Winds is very funny because Stone Winds has just been continually stealth buffed over the entire 2-year history of the game.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
as it's gotten one explicit buff, and then just everything else has moved around it. And as that keeps happening, it keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, it was such a meme
Uh,
tome at the start, and now it's really a viable option.
yeah, the extra range that got moved over to it from enchantment was an excellent choice and makes sense.
Yeah, and
And
it used to
with
be on the original Winds thing in, I think, even Age of Wonders 1. Extra range was aligned with Winds, and in Age of Wonders 3, that was the case as well. It was a Wind affinity thing, the extra range.
the way it currently functions is very good. And another one that upgraded was athletics as a racial trait, because the Manger Zephyr archers would get a lot of extra move compared
Yeah,
to where they would have been at before. And the latest stealth buff is Winds is the pretty much the ultimate partner tome for Tome of Shades. Winds has some of the only other stuff that gives blind.
yeah, that's fair enough. That's a
The only
pretty
other one I think the only other one is Eternal Lord.
yeah,
It
it is
gives you
Eternal Lord. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Mage is a pretty solid class. You can have a debuffer or your AoE monster, so it's pretty good.
very good.
Yeah, you can do no wrong with it. Like with fight, like Warrior, like you said, it's a pretty solid thing. But I like the more niche ones for other reasons, as I've said. Ritualist for support and Ranger, I think, is
Well,
good.
especially with Spellblade now getting the pretty much the best stuff from Mage means
Yeah,
well, why not pick Mage?
yeah. I mean, you might for the curse, although if you want the curse, you get Death Knight as well. So
Yeah.
Spellblade got one side of Mage, and Death Knight got the other. Yeah, they pretty much stole everything from Mage.
Which is fine. I like that approach how they've been able to take aspects from each tree and put it into something else.
Yeah,
I think that worked out very well. It is just funny though.
and I'm really hoping that they add a more roguish kind of thing, maybe something, maybe warrior ranger stuff for a rogue character. I don't know. I miss
Well, like a charging assassin, I think that would fit pretty well.
Yeah, I miss the rogue culture class from Age of Wonders 3. I think there's a little gap in it in the whole cultures thing because the latest build I've made was an attempt to make something roguish, but we don't really have a lot of rogue cultural units. It's just the shades and the afflictors that have a kind of thiefish vibe, and I would very
Yeah.
much like it. Yeah, so before we go to the other topic, which is Giant Kings, we said we would talk about how a lot of tomes were stripped from their unique abilities to fill out the trees. So yeah, that happened. If you look, more attentive people that were very keen-eyed to the changes will notice a lot of tomes now. If you check the tomes, they have empty stuff. What some tomes had skills, others had special province improvements, and now there's tomes bereft of any benefit and ones with special province improvements. And that was sort of a stealth nerf to some tomes, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see, Horde. It was a pretty big nerf to Horde because Horde evolved in Beasts. And Necromancy too. Those four all had very powerful support skills that can buff an entire army as long as it fit certain unit types. And now they just don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, the funniest one is Cleansing Flame, where the hero skill from Cleansing Flame was basically mandatory for Cleansing Flame to even function.
Yeah.
Uh, And what they did was they just gave it to you for free. Like, just if you pick the tome in every battle, you just get that bonus. And you don't need a hero anymore. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
they just made cleansing flame even better, which is unfortunate because I picked cleansing flame too much already. So
yeah. I mean, even the viewers here on this channel, I'm sure they're sick of how many times I've mentioned Cleansing Flame ever since it came out. I think a solid
such a
two,
great
three
one.
builds on this channel or more use Cleansing
Yeah,
Flames. It's kind of crazy, but it's kind of a crossroads tome. It has a lot of stuff you could use.
yeah. It's a great one, and it it doesn't help that it combos very well with another tome that I've used too much that came out, Calamity.
Yeah, Calamity and Cleansing Flames are like, hand in hand. It's kind of crazy.
They are best friends. They
Which is kind of funny given one is supposed to be really evil and the other is supposed to be like order at all costs.
yeah.
Yeah, but mechanical synergies over theming, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's freaking it is brilliant the way those two tomes combined. It's
Yeah,
hard to beat.
yeah, but I hope
This
new stuff comes out or they do sort of a pass over the older tomes, just to add some new stuff. At least province improvements, or I don't know, a passive like Cleansing Flame gets, just to kind of give some value back to the older tomes.
yeah, I think it definitely does impact the balance of the tomes, but I also think that overall they're probably pretty happy with where the balance landed on these tomes. And I think understandably so. I think that the tomes, as a general rule, are very well balanced at this point. But I agree, it would be very nice if they could go back and give a little bit of extra love to, especially tomes that were harmed by this update. But then just there's certain tomes in general that it would be nice to see some more love.
Yeah, I agree. I think, but they've been doing such a great job. I think some changes were a little too radical, but in the overall, I can't really complain. They've been churning out a lot of good stuff. I just think they could give a little extra love to some aspects of the game, but if tomorrow something came out, they said this is the last update, this is all you get. I would say Age of Wonders 4 is still in a pretty good place, but I would want more, but I'm happy with where it is.
Yeah, I mean, I probably be playing Age of Wonders 4 until I die, if even it ended how it does. I don't want to over exaggerate it, but I do feel like at this point it's probably one of my favorite games of all time now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good game.
I would say there's definitely a difference between it being my favorite game of all time, or a loved game, and being the best game. I'd say something like Fury is a lot more mechanically impressive in terms of how it's built, but they're apples and oranges between the
Yeah, I
two.
mean, that's fair. I mean, and I'm also very biased. I think the one game that steals that title for me is Kenshi, and Kenshi is a kind of really crazy game and kind of stupid. You have to be a very particular sort of person to really love it.
Which have a
And
very high IQ,
no, 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 not high IQ. I think that I think it's in the range of complete idiocy and pure genius, and I love that stupid game so much. It's like The Sims, but you can brutalize people.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Yeah,
Everything I mean, you made a very good Kenshi video for your first video.
thank you.
And I think everyone who watched it appreciated it.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, back to Age of Wonders. So yeah, I think that's pretty much wraps the part of the classes and the whole change to tomes. So now we can go over to the last topic of the day, which is the whole Giant Kings thing. Bootman had and I have this on our Discord, but I'm going to put it over on the screen. where I've made a little graphic for us to speculate on the Giant King because it's such a curious addition, adding another leader when we have already four types that cover such an amount of ground. And yeah, it's like you can see here that I'm showing. There's a lot that every single class already does, and Giant King, we know very little about it, and we can kind of guess what it can do, but what it does, at least for me, it kind of doesn't match what's left as a role to fill, because my first impression is that they're going to be this huge muscle bound kind of thing, and we already have Dragon doing that, being the sort of bruiser enemy that Lord that you can just send into battle and it just wrecks stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to find the exposed niche. The only thing left. I mean, it's not, honestly, it's very well balanced at this point. Um, the only things I can think of that both match giants and haven't been done yet are very radical things that I don't know that they're gonna want to do.
Yeah. What's your theory there?
Oh, my favorite radical option. Okay, I think this would be actually great if they did this. It is a giant king automatically converts every racial unit in your entire army into giants, where every squad is now a single unit.
I mean that's pretty radical, but I can see it. Basically, you have a monstrous single unit kind of faction by picking Giant King. That would be very interesting. Yeah.
I think it'd be an absolute blast, and it would let you tackle every culture and every unit in a new way. That it's one of those. It's the ideal, right? It's what you want. You want a when you have a ruler type, or if like any customization option. The absolute ideal of it is that it lets you tackle everything from before in new ways. It's like a new vector. We're adding a new. It's not just X and Y anymore. It's X, Y, Z. And so if what it does is like okay, everything is giant now. You don't have mounts. Like mounts are now out. Like because you're too big for any mount
Yeah.
essentially. That mounts are already ubiquitous for a lot of builds. And so having something that gives a replacement for that is very valuable in my opinion.
So basically, it's like a free major transformation, like the Naga, for the whole race by picking Giant King.
Essentially, that's the direction I would lean towards for this sort of thing. Just because that's all I can think of that's left, and I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Personally, I have a my theory is a little less exciting, but also a little. It's more expected, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
mine isn't happening, to be clear.
my
So.
my idea is that it is a form unit, kinda, at least like Wizard King, or maybe even more. I think it would be very cool if the Giant King can have that kind of synergy with your faction, if it can be like the giant version of something you have. Although I can understand if it doesn't, like the Dragon Lord and the Eldritch Sovereign, but I expect it to be kind of a, yeah, I mean, kind of in the way you expect, but it doesn't convert the whole race. Or it could be kind of Wizard King where you can have this giant that doesn't match the form trait that's ruling over a smaller group. And I guess I'm thinking of something a little more aggressive than the Dragon Horde in the sense that it could be because Champion used to be the economic kind of lord before he was the strategic kind of lord. And
Yep.
I think Giant King could bring it back somehow. I don't know, maybe uh, tides to vassals being more or I don't know, more gold generation in the overall. I guess I'm thinking something like uh, you're a big giant and you're kind of forcing people to give you their gold and all that. And I'm sort of imagining this almost wizard king like version of a ruler, but less magic, more melee. That's more or less what's in my head as far as speculation goes, because I don't really see a giant buffing their army or being kind of diplomatic. And we already have like two rulers that are really good at magic. So if the giant is going to be sort of a unique kind of creature in your faction, then the way I see it is it helping the economy and it being strong in its own right, which I wouldn't like. I would very much prefer to be the thing you're supposing that it might be,
I don't
because
think it's gonna be a thing I said. It's not gonna happen. But
yeah, I mean it's a pipe dream, but I would very much prefer it because I like Dragon being the big bruiser option, but I guess I wouldn't be too upset if there was a second one, a second big bruiser option. It's just that,
yeah.
it feels lesser a little bit. It's like kind of butting in on the niche of Dragon Lord. But the way I see it, it's a mix of Dragon Lord and Champion or Wizard King. It has more synergy with your race. At least I hope it does.
So I think one thing we should address here, we talked like we talked about in theory, we've talked about what exists as it is, we talked about pipe dreams. I think there is one important thing to talk about, and that
Yeah.
is what the lore is. And I think that's going to be very relevant in this case. So, the way they've basically been going about it is, as far as I can tell, giants seem to be like the old rulers who had glorious cities and kingdoms throughout the multiverse. That seems to be what they're talking about. The update talks about building up runes as as an aspect of what you're doing. You'll get you'll get runes from and discover them and exploit them in some capacity or explore them. They may be like some mini wonders or maybe big wonders.
Yeah.
Um, we're not entirely sure yet what form that will take. However, what we can say for sure is that is the vibe of giants. The vibe of the giants is these ancient rulers who built great, incredible things.
Yeah.
So, if you want to talk about something that kind of fits the lore, fits an empty space, and fits something that I would also want, giants could unlock a unique set of structures for your city.
I mean, that could also be very much viable. Uh, yeah, I mean, focus on city building would be a whole new angle to it tackles something that none of the rulers do so far on their own, at least.
Yeah. So having like unique and powerful buildings, maybe even buildings that force decisions, like you can either build the tower or the other thing. Like you could do something along those lines.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think my theory still could work in that framework of them being, economic sort of lords and being a thing on their own. But
Yes, it fits the economic mold very well.
but I do hope it also can go in that direction more. And it could go in a way of exploring ancient wonders somehow. Maybe taking something from it that no one else can. In the sense that the Eldritch Ruler, for example, has unique dilemma solving by burning away the thrall. So,
Yeah, I'd be very interested in going down that route, like exploiting ancient wonders heavily. That'd be a lot of fun, and I can already think of several. Depending on how it works, you can think of several ways you could use that. Um, so that you don't need to convince me anymore. You've already sold me on
yeah.
that one.
I mean, you do incorporate an ancient wonder whenever you clear it, even if it's not annexed, it's still yours. So maybe they do
Yes.
something with that, like it working as an outpost, possibly, working independently of your territory. But I think that would also create a little bit of a splintered empire kind of problem.
I mean,
But
that could be interesting though.
yeah, yeah,
I'd be interested in that because you could play like giants and primal, and so you'd be looking out for wonders and your spirit trees.
yeah, and cursing at the random map generation for giving you neither.
I've never not been screwed over by the primal tree setups. Like not a, I've never, it has never failed to absolutely screw me.
I wish there was a ritual where you could grow one, even if it took effort. And even if it was like something, oh, you start this ritual and they attack you because you're trying to create another tree. Anything would be better than nothing. I think,
Literally anything. Yeah, I
yeah.
100%. Or you if you want to be like as minimal as possible, as like the smallest concession, give me a grievance on people who have trees in their territory.
Oh, yeah, that would be a nice addition, of course. I mean, it's like Solaris, where you declare a planet sacred and it's in someone else's territory and you get a casus belli against them because of that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I totally see that.
So yeah, I think it's most likely we'll get some sort of structure province improvement sort of thing. You get unique structure lines. If I would like to see converting your entire culture into giants. I think that'd be a ton of fun. I don't know if that's at all realistic with the scope of the game. I feel like that it's probably explicitly not realistic with the scope of the game. And then your idea of the kind of like economic, kind of like greedy overlord thing would also fit well too.
Yeah. And I mean, on the battlefield, I guess, at least I hope that they won't be as pigeonholed into a class as Eldritch Sovereign is, because I think that if it has the same or almost the same freedom as Champion, Wizard King, and Dragon, Giants will have a lot of replayability for different battlefield kind of strategies.
Yeah, I mean I mean, I'm curious. I don't think they would do it again. They're do the way that dragons work with the ascension stuff. I don't think they're going to do
No,
that
no,
again.
no, probably not. Although, if you look at the enemies we have right now on the game, we do have elemental giants, sort of. So we do have a fire giant, and
Okay.
yeah,
Maybe that is in the cards then. Interesting.
yeah, you do have the fire giant, which is pretty damn scary, and you have the base giant. I don't remember if we have frost giants.
I don't think we have the like the brewer.
Oh yeah, we do. I guess. I mean, I think Giant Kings, every expansion they introduce new random enemy units, so we'll probably get the other elemental giants. It's likely, at
Well, so
least.
you saying that gave me this like vision in my head for another possibility.
Yeah.
Uh it's not what if it's based around those the units that other factions can't recruit?
You mean? Oh,
Like the rally like the rally of lieges stuff you get from wonders or other non-recruitable units.
that would be interesting. Like, oh, I know a good comparison. In Heroes of Might and Magic, in some of them, you could capture neutral dwellings and add them to your recruitment pool at
Yes.
cities. So, yeah, that would be interesting. That would be interesting for sure. That would expand greatly your base of units to play around with, which we already have with some special province improvements, but it would be nice to have a hero type that can just lord type that just can grab that by default.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested in something like that. So I guess the thing is you probably have to make them you have to get a bit creative basically is the that should be the tagline for this discussion. In order
Yeah.
for them to find that place, they've got to get a little bit creative.
Oh, absolutely. Because they've done such a great job with what we already have, that it's kind of curious what else they could give us as far as leaders go without repeating
Yes.
themselves too much.
I mean, so I'll be honest. I'm actually not a huge fan of how Champion and Wizard King have ended up. Um, I like them a lot in terms of they are very balanced and they have unique and strong abilities that set them apart.
Yeah.
But they're no longer they don't have the same influence faction wide they used to.
Oh, absolutely. But I
Which
think,
is intentional.
yeah, but I think their biggest benefit is being, in Champion's case, a farm unit completely, and Wizard King being a unit that can receive enchantments and probably no, and also the Wizard Kings also get affected by major transformations. I totally forgot right now.
Yeah, they get all of the transformations.
Yeah, the thing is, it's optional for them, but they can. So I think
Yes.
that's a huge benefit for them, because at least for me, most of my Pantheon rulers are champions and Wizard Kings because of that, because of all the things the tomes can give them that become passives when they are summoned through the Pantheon. So I think that's
I'd say
their thing.
my most picked is probably Wizard.
Well, in my case, champion because, well, like I said, I really like the Ranger, but I also make a lot of Dragon Lord builds. But yeah, I think Wizard King maybe could. The thing is, Wizard King competes with Eldritch Sovereign a little bit. They're kind of butting heads a little bit as far as what they do. I
You
think
think so?
Eldritch Sovereign, I mean, they're both the magic guys, but Eldritch
In very
Sovereign,
different.
yeah, in very different ways. And Eldritch Sovereign kind of is this powerhouse and this artillery piece, which solidifies it into a niche which Wizard King does not have. It doesn't have a niche, it's a generalist. So I think that's what's kind of bothering you, I suppose, that Wizard King is a generalist and doesn't affect the faction as much compared to Eldritch Sovereign and Dragon Lord, which establish themselves so much when you pick them as part of the faction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have anything else to add?
Um no, I think that this was I like where we landed on Giant Kings, honestly. That was
Yeah.
a very satisfying discussion
Oh,
that
yeah.
we had.
Absolutely. I it's left me with a lot of ideas, and you've really been tempting me to try and play the update for the classes now and just, drop Warhammer and try out more Age of Wonders. So, yeah, I think, everyone, this is it. I hope you've all followed along and enjoyed it. And please go over and support Bootman as well. He helps a lot with Age of Wonder stuff, and he's a very good friend of the channel and a longtime friend. So please support him if you like his content and his ideas. So yeah, I think that's it for us today. So yeah, see you on the next one.